Um eine Minute gebeten. Starten wir den Stream.
The technicians ask 1 more minute to prepare the live stream.
Okay. Fast. Okay. We are ready.
Ja. Alles okay, ja, das war von uns.
One more question. Do you see the presentation, or shall we close the windows? Shall we start? Yeah, fine. You complain whenever you see it should be darker. Well, the technician is okay as well for the camera. So good morning in Strobl. We are very glad that you are all here after a long night, after a long journey. I hope you had a good time yesterday. Got to get in touch with the colleagues from the other countries. You already know somebody of the other groups. And I also hope that we get more in touch today. We will start with the presentations from every country on the situation of the trade unions and the workers' rights organizations. We would like to focus on the differences as well, but because it's good to know a bit the specialities of every country, workers' rights or trade union organization. And I know it's only short 15 minutes to explain complex things like the trade unions and their stress, and we will have to whole days, seminars on it. But I will ask you to be disciplined in 15 minutes to give all your colleagues from the countries time later to listen as well at the same time. We propose football symbols. You know this? The yellow card is after 10 minutes, we show you the yellow card to sign the 5 minutes left. So still a lot of time to talk. And the red card, time over, 15 minutes. Please come to an end to let some minutes to questions from the auditorium. Because there are some 5-10 minutes at least to have questions coming from the other.
Ganz schrecklich.
So, I'm very glad that Bulgaria will start 2 presentations. Give the microphone to Mary. Good morning to everybody. I'm pleased to start with the presentation. Our communication union policies is hard to do so in 15 minutes. Prepare 3 different presentations. One is about the C2, about the Confederation, about the history, structure, and so on. Another one is about the social dialogue, and the third one is about the sectoral highlights. Here are representatives from 6 federations, so they put their highlights in one other presentation. So I will start with CITUP, the Confederation of Independent Trade Unions in Bulgaria. You see our website when you can catch all the news and all the events and so on. It's in Bulgarian, but you can easily translate through Google into English. So just a moment. I start with this. Okay, our confederation was established on 17 February 1990, but the trade union movement in Bulgaria started actually to be active in 1904 or 1905.
Our organization, the Confederation, is the biggest NGO in Bulgaria and also representative of the interests of the workers and employees. It is affiliated to the ETUC and ICFTU, now ITUC, since 1995. We have 34 sectoral branch federations, trade unions, and 5 associated organizations unifying self-employed, farmers, pensioners, and so on. Our regional structures are 27 throughout the country. We have also representatives in all 156 municipalities in the country. Altogether, we have about 200,000 members. We have, this is a little bit old, 12 departments. Now it's shrink to 8. We have an Institute for Social and Trade Union Research at the Confederation. And we have our trade union magazine. I brought some of the latest issues, so about our policy. We have also participation in several NGOs. We have our Workers' Education and Training College by the Confederation. We have also Institute of Industrial Relations and Management. We have a Center for Industrial and Social Initiatives. We have special NGOs for women's policies and very good and strong NGO about youth forum, youth and youth policies. It's called Youth Forum 21st Century. We have also another associations, and we work also with many other NGOs. Our main areas of work is for every trade union, we have to provide protection and representation for workers and employees' interests in several areas. The most important, labor and trade union rights, employment policies, vocational education and training, working time and organization and work health and safety, wages, salaries, related remuneration policies and social benefits. And another very big area is social security and social assistance. We are also providing policies and developing policies in quality of working life, including information, consultation, and workers' participation. We are also active in policies for living standards and rights and interests of specific groups like minorities, disabled people, youth, women, and so on. We also are dealing with social consequences of globalization, economic transition, and EU integration processes. Our basic mechanisms of work. We interact with other organizations. We interact at the national level, at regional and branch levels. We are active in legislative initiatives, social partnership, collective bargaining and agreements, representation of individual and collective rights and interests to the states, to the local authorities, and to different employers and associations of non-governmental organizations. Also, we are active in mediation, conciliation, and arbitration processes, and collective labor disputes resolution, which is also a big area of our work. Our mechanisms of interactions are representation of individual rights and interests at the court. So we are representing our trade union members free, of course, before the court. We are mobilizing and organizing industrial actions and strikes. We are campaigning for protection of workers' fundamental rights. We relate to the civil society and media. We are standing in international relations and cooperation, and participation in national and international projects and programs. So our basic campaigns to cover about the recruitment of new members. I'm going to show you our latest clip video, which is on the site of the ITUC. We organizing information campaigns, information exchange, and educational and training activities, research activities through our Institute of Trade Union Research. So we are represented at the national level in national system for tripartite cooperation. It's stipulated by our labor code. It's called National Council for Tripartite Cooperation in its commissions and working groups on separate issues. We are represented in sectors and branch councils for tripartite cooperation and in municipal councils for tripartite cooperations. We have also presentation in specialized structures for partnership in the fields of the policies on employment, vocational education and training, health and safety, social assistance, rights, and so on. We are also represented in advisory bodies and state institutions like Advisory Council at the Employment Agency and its units, in Council on the European Social Charter, the Municipality of Labour and Social Policy, in Advisory Council at the Parliamentary Commissions on Labour and Social Policies. This I will skip because it's old information about the Bulgarian EU accession process. You can see that we are presented in all national and regional and social councils on different issues during this process of EU integration. As a whole, the CTUB structures are included in bipartite and tripartite social dialogue and the collective bargaining system at all levels. We have these 5 main levels: national level, sectoral level, branch, municipal, and enterprise or company level. We started with big campaigns in 2000 on the new adopted social code, and it was a big campaign and covered about 9,000 CTUBS members. In 2001, we organized another campaign on the newly adopted labor code changes and amendments. In 2002 on collective bargaining campaign, and 2004 on labor legislation changes. So we produced different types of comments, training materials, workshops, and so on. You can see it. Oh, okay. I will skip this part because it's about our workers' education and training college, but I shall mention this. We started to work with GB since long time ago, so we developed different projects. We can see some of them. We are presented in the ILO, in the ICFTU, in the AUATUC, and so on. The global federations also. So now I am going to show you our clip, the latest video, which is on the ATUC website. It's called "Come to the Union," and it's created especially for the young people, for the campaign on the young people. So it's in Bulgarian, but over the clip you can see some explanation in English. It's not connected.
Ако имаш проблем с твоя шеф,
It's just
относно трудовите ти права, той сигурно ще повика мениджърите от отдел човешки ресурси, а те ще повикат експерти по решаване на подобни проблеми. И ще Ако имаш проблем с твоя шеф относно трудовите ти права, той сигурно ще повика мениджърите от отдел човешки ресурси, а те ще повикат експерти по решаване на подобни проблеми и ще се обадят на адвокат. И това е същия шеф, който ти беше казал, че е най-добре да се представляваш сам. Искаш ли да изчислиш какви са ти шансовете сега? С нас всичко това не може да ти се случи. С КНСБ правата ти ще бъдат защитени. Ела в КНСБ и живей достойно.
And this clip was created in the frame of our project, of our big project, flexibility through the collective bargaining and security through the law. It's called the project. So you can see here another big event. So because we are very active in the preparations of the third ITUC World Congress, which has to be held in Berlin in May, and we have provided some information in advance. Some of you probably know this ITUC website on the Congress, so we put it our clip here in Union Growth section and best practices. The other two sections are realizing rights and sustainable jobs. So now I'm going just briefly to our sectoral presentations because the colleagues have prepared their sectoral highlights. We have here representation from light industry, from construction sector, from education, from transport, commerce, cooperatives, tourism and social services, and forestry, woodworking. So we start with the light industry. Light industry trade union organization was founded in the conference in May 1990. And this is the abbreviation in English, FOSIL, includes trade union organizations in the following industries: textile, knitwear, footwear, tailoring, leather and haberdashery, leather and fur, glass, porcelain, faience, machine building, and custom goods. The main purpose of the federation is representation, assistance, and protection of the rights and interests of the trade union members and their organizations under national and international legislation in these sectors. The federation experiences big problems because this is very low-paid sectors, and there is employee fluctuation. As a result of the crisis, many enterprises in the light industry were closed. The number of employees decreased by over 50 to 80% of the workers in the industry are women, so it's very gender-specific sector, and with very high unemployment rates, about the average European level, and about the Bulgarian average employment level. So the federation lost 35% of its members. The employers in many undertakings refused to sign and to bargain a new collective agreements, and they are canceling, so from their side also the provisions in these agreements or are not observing them. Okay. Sorry, but we have another confederation, another federations which are also important. I'm just showing you which they are. This is the construction sector. So building, construction, and construction. So, and the challenges remain. And the Bulgarian Teachers Union, which is the biggest trade union federation in Bulgaria and in the Confederation, established and which has 72,000 members. And the regional structures, practically, they are covering all the countries. They have municipal coordinators in every single place. And this is a big organization for the teachers and for the education sector. So they have also big campaigns developed in the last year, my first working place. So after that, if there is some time, I can show you this clip from the campaign. And this is our Transport Trade Union Federation. They have 60 collective agreements. They have 76 trade union organizations from the transport sector. And I shall mention here that the World Congress of the Transport Federation, of the Global Transport Federation, will be in Sofia in August. So we are expecting about 1,200 delegates coming to Sofia from all over the world, from all the continents, and it will be the biggest trade union convention ever in Bulgaria. So they have very specific policies on gender and women and violence at work, because in the transport sector it's very common, these problems. So, the commerce sector, the commercial workers include commercial bakers, waiters, cooks, and bank employees. In the commerce sector, the trade union density is very low, below 1 or around 1%. And there are big problems in recruiting new trade union members. And the last one is the woodworking industry, the forestry, and wood processing. And they have 150 trade union organizations and 7,000 members. And they have also branch collective agreements in 4 branches. So also.
Thank you very much, Nelly, for the discipline and the brief explanation. I know it's really hard to get so short. First, I would ask the next group to present would be Poland. So I would ask the person from Poland who will do the presentation maybe to prepare the dates here. Meanwhile, we ask if there are any questions to Bulgarian trade unions, so Nelly, from the audience. No question? Then you can talk about something else. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't think you have the.
So I can add a lot of things, but which is the main point of interest? I don't know. Probably international cooperation, something.
We've got one question. Sorry. Nah. Live stream is per microphone.
Yeah, one question. what happened with the old trade unions from the socialist times? Are they shrinking or not existing anymore? Or was there some sort of a change of these old organizations to the new trade unions?
And the Confederation actually was established as a successor of the old trade unions from the communist time. So at the beginning, the Confederation had about 1 million members. So they're shrinking membership, and the trade union density is really low now, and that's why. But through this project we started 4 years ago about the flexibility and security. We are trying to organize young people. We are trying to renew the trade union structures, especially in the regions and in the branches which are under attack from the crisis and are suffering from many problems. So I mentioned that the trade union movement actually started in 94, but the Confederation was established after the changes, after it was established 1990. So there is another trade union confederation, Podkrepa, Confederation of Labor, which was established a year ago in 89 as an opposite trade union to the regime. So, but we cooperate with them very good at national level and international level also. They have not so many members, but it's a common problem for all trade unions, I think.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Is there one more question?
Do you have people who work on contracts that are not covered by trade unions? Like they don't have the working laws, and you don't understand me? People who have contracts different than, than normal employee, because it's a rising problem in Poland. And do you have any ideas how to help those people?
Граждански договори, как защитават те не текат с граждански.
Okay, to explain the question, so it's not permanent employment, but short-term employment, and like how the trade union covers this short-term employment to protect their rights. Okay, Nelly.
As I understood, this is such kind of casual labor or non-protected labor or something like that. In Bulgaria, there is a legal obligation to register all the concluded labor contracts, but also we have a Greek economy sector where the people are working at the minimum level of payment, minimum wage, and they're getting some other money, extra money under the table and so on. And the Greek economy as a whole, it's about 30%, in some sectors more than 30%. So we are trying to organize also these people through our campaigns, through our national policy. We have social incomes, social security thresholds. For each sector, for each profession, we are trying to get the minimum level for social protection. So it's really very hard, but we are trying. And it's worth to say that this year's conference of the International Labour Organization, the biggest topic will be the informal economy. So we are doing a lot of this, and we can check also on the website of the ILO. And our president, Plamen Dimitrov, will be the spokesperson for Europe, for ACTRAF, also representative from all the workers in Europe, to speak about the informal economy and measures to combat the informal labor. So.
Thank you very much, Nelly. I would like to change country. Thank you for the presentations and also for the answers. Thank you for the questions. I would like to ask the Polish representative to tell us something about the Polish situation of trade union. Would you like to come here? Huh? Yeah. Thank you. And just an announcement for the psychological preparation. We would like to ask the Romanian group after the Polish group to do the representation. And then we have the coffee break. So, timer.
Okay, so hello. As Mr. President of the Regional Council is here, he will make a short speech and I will do the translation. Can we use the second microphone? A co będziemy pokazywać? Ania? Co będziemy pokazywać? Aha. Technical problems are always strange. Ale myślę, że nie ma czasu na historię. Z ostatnich 2 lat.
Dasz mi pendrive'a? Tam jest.
A co macie?
Zdjęcie z manifestacji.
No dobra. Dzień dobry Państwu. Moje nazwisko Król Józef. Jestem przewodniczącym Rady OPZZ Województwa Małopolskiego.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Józef Król and I'm the president of the Regional Council of OPZZ in Małopolska.
Myśmy nie przygotowali tak szerokiej prezentacji jak nasi koledzy i koleżanki z Bułgarii. Niemniej jednak w oparciu o naszą stronę OPZZ-u postaramy się Państwu przedstawić naszą strukturę i działalność naszej organizacji w Polsce.
We didn't prepare such a wide and developed presentation as our colleagues from Bulgaria, but we will try to describe you shortly the situation of OPZZ.
Więc proszę Państwa, związki zawodowe w Polsce działają w oparciu o zakładowe organizacje związkowe, które mają własną osobowość prawną i są niezależnymi organizacjami związkowymi.
The trade unions in Poland are working on the base of the workplaces organizations, so the trade unions at the workplace level, which are independent organizations.
Organizacje te mają bezpośredni kontakt z pracodawcami i w swoich zakładach pracy rozwiązują wszystkie problemy pracownicze w oparciu o porozumienia i kontakty z pracodawcą.
So these organizations at the workplace level have direct contacts with the employers and they are negotiating on behalf of the employees of their workplace.
Te organizacje związkowe zrzeszone są w ogólnopolskich strukturach branżowych to znaczy w federacjach, zrzeszeniach poszczególnych branż energetyki, górnictwa, nafty czy hutnictwa, szkolnictwa i tym podobne.
So these organizations are affiliated at the sectoral level in federations, which represents different sectors, which you mainly can see here, like the education, mining, metal workers, etc.
Organizacje ogólnopolskie struktury związkowe stworzyły OPZZ, czyli Ogólnopolskie Porozumienie Związków Zawodowych, jako federację.
These sectoral federations created a national body organization, which is OPZZ, All Poland Alliance of Trade Unions, at the national level.
No i OPZZ jako całość zrzesza ponad 400 000 członków.
And OPZZ as a national organization affiliates about 400,000 members.
Oczywiście w poszczególnych zakładowych organizacjach związkowych.
In particular workplaces, of course.
Działalność całej struktury OPZZ-u na szczeblu ogólnopolskim podzielona jest na 9 branż.
So as you can see, the OPZZ activity is divided into 9 main sectors.
Tak jak tutaj zostało to pokazane. Proszę Państwa, poza strukturą branżową OPZZ posiada własne struktury terytorialne.
Besides the sectoral structures, OPZZ is also divided into regional structures,
których w Polsce jest 16.
There are 16 of such structures.
Struktury terytorialne oparte są o podział administracyjny kraju, czyli w oparciu o województwa.
The division is based on the division into regions in Poland.
No i taką właśnie jedną ze struktur reprezentuję ja. Jest to Rada OPZZ Województwa Małopolskiego, czyli tego województwa, które jest na południu Polski, graniczy z Czechami, Słowacją.
And I am representing one of this regional structure, the Regional Council of the OPZZ from Małopolska, so the region from the south east of Poland.
OPZZ jako całość, czyli centrala, uczestniczy w strukturach europejskich i ogólnoświatowych związków zawodowych.
OPZZ is affiliated in the European and international trade unions confederations.
W bieżącym roku obchodzimy 30-lecie utworzenia OPZZ-u i na kongresie sprawozdawczo-wyborczym, który odbędzie się w dniach 29-31 maja, no będziemy też obchodzić jubileusz 30-lecia.
This year is important as it is the 30 years of the activity of OPZZ. So in May, at the end of May, there will be a national congress of OPZZ where the anniversary will be celebrated.
No i tyle może o strukturze centralnej OPZZ-u, a może teraz przejdźmy do naszego podwórka, czyli do Rady Wojewódzkiej, czyli Województwa Małopolskiego.
So this is like the brief description of the national structure, and now I will tell more about our regional activity.
Rada Wojewódzka działa poprzez właśnie 9 branż, w których skupione są organizacje zakładowe działające na terenie województwa małopolskiego.
So the Regional Council is working through these 9 branches, which are based in the region of Małopolska.
No i to jest nasza strona z herbem Krakowa i z lokalizacją naszej siedziby, do której oczywiście Was wszystkich serdecznie zapraszamy, jeżeli będziecie w Krakowie albo w okolicy.
So these are the details of our regional council with the address and email, so if you need to contact us, just you can do that.
Zrzeszamy w sumie około 60 do 70 tysięcy członków, gdyż statystyka jest wiadomo, bardzo płynna. Ludzie zapisują się i wypisują z organizacji związkowych.
In the region, we affiliate about 60 or 70,000 members. It's hard to say in details, as you know, it's fluctuating. So members are coming and going. So
Z Radą współpracuje około 100 organizacji związkowych na mniej więcej 200-250 organizacji rejestrowanych na terenie województwa, należących oczywiście do OPZZ.
We are cooperating actively with about 100 organizations, sectoral or workplace organization, which is the almost half of the organizations.
No i czym zajmujemy się? Proszę Państwa, OPZZ oczywiście uczestniczy we wszelkich rozmowach na szczeblu ogólnopaństwowym, czyli centralnym, i tak samo uczestniczymy w rozmowach wszelkiego rodzaju na terenie województwa, powiatu, czyli tych władz terenowych naszego kraju.
So what we do, we of course support all the negotiations and dialogues between employees and employers at the level of the region.
Prowadzimy akcje zmierzające jako inicjatywy społeczne do tworzenia nowego prawodawstwa, czyli tworzenia nowych ustaw przez nasz Sejm.
We are supporting or even leading the initiatives which are aimed at create new legislation.
Współpracujemy z organizacjami politycznymi w naszym kraju po to, żeby mieć przełożenie na naszych posłów.
We cooperate also with the political organizations from the region in order to have some impact on the government.
Czynnie poprzez naszych członków uczestniczymy w wyborach do Parlamentu Europejskiego, Sejmu Rzeczypospolitej, no oraz władz regionalnych.
Our members take actively part in the elections to for example, to European Parliament, to national government, etc.
Na szczeblu ogólnopolskim jest wydawany informator związkowy, gazeta związkowa pod tytułem Związkowiec.
At the national level, we have a monthly periodic which is dedicated to the trade unions issues, and it's called Trade Unionist.
Posiadamy też naszą stronę, która jest bardzo interaktywna.
We have also our interactive website.
Na niej pokazywane są aktualności właśnie w formie newsów filmowych.
We have also our like say movie channel on the YouTube, so you can see the news in the form of videos.
A my jako Rada Wojewódzka wydajemy jako jedyna w całej Polsce nasz biuletyn informacyjny, nasz region.
Also, the Regional Council of Małopolska is publishing one monthly periodic as only one regional council in Poland.
I to może w skrócie informacje na temat tego, co się u nas dzieje, jak to funkcjonuje, no i jak działa.
So this is shortly about our activity and the structure.
No możemy powiedzieć jeszcze jako ciekawostkę, która może Państwa zainteresuje, informację, że w zeszłym roku w związku z brakiem możliwości porozumienia się z rządem naszego kraju, wszystkie organizacje związkowe, czyli czy centrale, OPZZ, Solidarność i Forum, zrezygnowały z udziału w komisji trójstronnej, czyli w takim forum, w którym bierzą udział pracodawcy, związki i strona rządowa.
So maybe it will be interesting for you that just to give a brief introduction, there are three representative organizations, trade union organizations in Poland, OPZZ, Solidarność and Forum, and they are acting in the tripartite dialogue commission. And last year, because they didn't see any possibility of continuing the dialogue because of the strong position, especially of the government and employers, all three federations decided to unite and to leave the tripartite dialogue commission and to not participate in so-called dialogue.
Stworzyło to taką lukę informacyjną pomiędzy rządem a związkami, z tym, że
it created a kind of how to say, a break in very important talks and dialogues in Poland.
Z tym, że na dzień dzisiejszy, czyli po praktycznie roku, jest sytuacja taka, że związki zawodowe i pracodawcy rozpoczęli dialog już od kilku miesięcy, natomiast strona rządowa cały czas jest pasywna w tych kwestiach.
It's necessary to say that after almost a year after the trade unions decided to leave the tripartite commission, the dialogue at the national level is still not continuing, but the trade unions and the employers organizations, they are meeting and discussing, but the problem is the government who doesn't want to agree on the issues that OPZZ and other trade unions were presenting.
I w tej chwili rozpoczęły się rozmowy już trójstronne na temat stworzenia nowej formuły współpracy między rządem, pracodawcami a związkami zawodowymi, oparte o Sejm Rzeczypospolitej Polskiej.
So at this time there are discussions to propose a new form of a national tripartite dialogue, which will not be based on the tripartite commission, but on the government of Poland, and the government will participate in this dialogue.
To, co Państwu pokazujemy, to są manifestacje z zeszłego roku, migawki. Przyjęliśmy zasadę już od ponad roku, że manifestacje w Polsce organizujemy w oparciu o 3 centrale, a nie pojedynczo. Z uwagi na to, że daje to większy wydźwięk i jest to lepiej odbierane w Polsce.
What you can see at the video is the last year manifestations which were prepared after the leaving of the tripartite commission, and what is important that since last year all the manifestations and protests are organized together, united by 3 federations, not only by single ones, which gives a stronger impact.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Josef, and thank you, Alexandra and Anna, for the presentation. Are there any questions from you? Somebody? I give you some. Yeah. Okay. So thank. Yeah. You know, you have to give them some time.
So I have 2 questions related with education sector. My first question is, what is the average salary in secondary education? How many euros?
W sektorze edukacji akurat jest to u nas jedna z branż praktycznie. W sektorze edukacji mamy Związek Nauczycielstwa Polskiego zrzeszający bardzo dużą rzeszę nauczycieli. Natomiast rozbieżność płac jest dość duża z uwagi na to, że część...
Okay, first of all, it's needed to be said that the education sector is one of the most important sector of OPZZ, as the trade union of teachers is the biggest trade union in Poland, but the differences in salaries are very high.
Z uwagi na to, że część nauczycieli jest opłacana jakby z funduszów centralnych, w Polsce, czyli poprzez ministerstwo, a część jest opłacanych poprzez poszczególne gminy, poszczególne województwa. I system płac jest od tego uzależniony. Jedni są na karcie nauczyciela, która daje większe uprawnienia pracownikom, nauczycielom konkretnie, natomiast inni są na zasadach już takich, jak obowiązują w danym regionie kraju.
It is hard to say what is the average, as there are two different forms of employing teachers. Some of them are employed at the national level, and some of them are employed by the local authorities. And the differences between salaries at the national level and regional level are quite high.
I można powiedzieć, że płace kształtują się w granicach od 500 do 2000 euro.
So the difference between the salaries is between 500 euro monthly and 2000 euro monthly.
Zależy, o którym mówimy poziomie nauczania. Bo jeżeli mówimy o poziomie nauczania uniwersyteckiego, to tam właśnie takie płace bywają.
So the highest salaries are at the university level. So this is the higher education, and at the basic education, it's about 500, the lowest.
Euros. Yeah. Okay. And my second question is very short. How many trade union members in secondary education do you have? How many trade union members in secondary education do you have?
What do you mean secondary? Not university, but...
Not university, only the secondary education. In school. Maybe in the kindergarten. Maybe.
Trudno mi powiedzieć dokładnie, ilu jest członków w Związku Nauczycielstwa Polskiego, ale z danych, które Związek podaje zresztą na swojej stronie internetowej, Związek Nauczycielstwa Polskiego liczy około 300 tysięcy członków. Natomiast przynależność do OPZZ-u jako do centrali zgłosili na poziomie 50 tysięcy. I za tylu płacą.
Okay, so it's hard to divide between the levels because the teachers union gives the data for the whole members of there, and they're all levels of education. So it's about, on their website they're saying that it's 300,000 members, but to OPZZ they applied to pay only for 50,000. So it's also a big difference.
Okay, thank you.
Did I see another question here? No? Okay. So thank you very much again. And I would like to ask the representative of the Romanian delegation to do your presentation on the trade unions. Yeah, wherever you want. Meanwhile, I make the annunciation and the question to all groups doing presentations. We would like to collect the presentations you have done for everybody to, well, we would like to put it in a Dropbox or in our Moodle or in some exchange forum so that everybody can read what he couldn't read now and what Nelly just had to spring because I made her rush through. So I would like to, if it's maybe in the break, you might copy it to this computer so we can take everything and thank you.
So, hello, my name is Razvan Avrigeanu. I'm from Romania. I'm Vice President of Independent Trade Union from BCR. BCR is the biggest bank in Romania. Now I will represent here Cartel Alpha. Cartel Alpha is one of the 5 confederation in Romania. So, a few words about trade union in Romania. For founding a trade union is required a number of at least 15 employees from the same unit. 2 or more trade unions created in the same sector may join to form a trade union federation. 2 or more trade union federation in different sectors may associate to form a trade union confederation. So, as I told you, we have 5 separate confederation with a substantial number of affiliated federation. Our National Trade Union Confederation, Cartel Alpha, was founded in 1990 in order to achieve a real and authentic representation of workers from Romania. Also, Cartel Alpha has contributed to development of Romanian trade union movement by training union militants to express freely their options and truly represent the interest of workers. The main objectives: solidarity, participation, and sustainability. Currently, 45 professional federations are affiliated to Cartel Alpha, representing various sectors of activity. Also, Cartel Alpha coordinates 42 local branches in each county from Romania. Our confederations comprises both private sector and public in all areas of activity: primary industry, agriculture, intermediate industries, industries for consumer goods, custom goods, education and culture, services, transport, health, financial and banking activities, and insurance. In order to be classed as a nationally representative, trade union confederation must have at least 5% of all employees in membership and have a territorial structure in each country from Romania. Also, Cartel Alpha coordinates trade union involvement in a number of consultative bodies such as the European Economic and Social Committee. The same Cartel Alpha is a representative at the national level, giving the right to be members of the National Tripartite Council for Social Dialogue, which brings together the unions, employees, and the government, plus the Bank of Romania. Our international relationship at the European level, Cartel Alpha is member of the European Trade Union Confederations since 1995. Also to International Trade Union Confederation. What are the challenges for us? The main challenge for us is how to implement the agreements already concluded. Implementation may remain a challenge in any case, whether it is the mandatory or not mandatory agreements, because the step from a written commitment to concrete action is not authentic in Romania. In other words, the actual implementation entails the willingness to undertake joint action, collective agreements. Okay. Our national unique agreement covers all employees from Romania until 3 years ago. Starting with 2011, unfortunately, we have a new labor code, and it's totally against the unions. It's almost impossible in Romania to go into strikes. It's hard to negotiate with employer. It's very difficult. Developments. we take action in a number of ways with a view to influencing discussion and decisions. It can apply political pressure, lobby. Yeah, we made a lot of lobby on the with, in fact, our government and guys from parliament. We conduct social dialogue in order to organize a large-scale demonstration. Common ways. We want to improving the capacity to communicate and work in a multilingual and multicultural environment. We are linked to the national and the European issue. We improve the capacity to communicate in a multicultural environment. And also we want to improve our negotiation skills and diplomatic skills at the national level and the European level. Now I will present our federations. It's Trade Union Federation from Insurance and Banks. Trade Unions Federation from Insurance and Banks was created in 2002 in order to achieve a real representation in the insurance and bank industry. Our federation is independent of political institution, from the government and from the employers. Currently, federation counts 12 unions in a banking and insurance company and over 16,000 union members. We are representative in the sector of financial, banking and insurance activities. We militate to improve working and living conditions of workers for a consistent policy of income for stability and economic development. These are our unions here presented from banks and insurance. We took the decision in the Congress, in a coordinated council, also in the executive office. Nationally, our federation is affiliated at Cartel Alpha. So, at international profile level, our federation is affiliated at Uni Global Union. Uni Global Union, it's a global union federation for skills and services gathering national and regional trade unions. It was launched on 1st January 2000. And we are part from Uni Europe, and especially Uni Finance. We are working together. Okay, short presentation of the unions. My union, BCR, the Independent Trade Union, is the oldest and the most dynamic trade union from my bank. What means our name means experience, tradition, and modernity in actions. We evolve in the spirit of a modern union which knows how to valorize the expertise that only experience can provide. We are a full member of Trade Union Federation. Also, we are part of Uni Europe and ETUC. Another trade union present is a Carbonifera Trade Union. It's from mining trade union. Has been created in 1990 with the aim to represent the employees of mining in their relation with state institutions and other trade unions organization. The trade union is independent of government, political party, and it's open to dialogue and try to defend the interests of its members. The union shall negotiate and conclude collective agreements, promote the social dialogue, assist and represent the member of the union, average work conflicts. So also Carbonifera Trade Union is affiliated to National Federation Mine and Energy and Cartel Alpha Confederation. So this is it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. I look to the audience if somebody raises her hand. Julia?
I have two questions. Maybe I missed the first one. I have to excuse myself. How many members have you? I would be interested in the total number and in relation to the population of Romania. And the second question would be, you said you have a new labor code and that it's not allowed to strike anymore. I would like to know, have there been lots of strikes before 2011? Because in Austria we measure strike time in seconds, so maybe you can say something about how many hours, days have been striked before, and if it's much less. And do you strike anyway? That would be interesting.
I'll start with the second question. In fact, we are allowed to go in strike, but it's, as I said, very difficult because the law said if the employer start a discussion with trade union, in that moment we are not allowed to go into to strike. And the employer came and said, "Hello, how are you? Fine, okay, goodbye." So they started the discussion. It's very difficult to go into strike in Romania. We probably will. We have the worst labor code in Europe. Yes. We had a lot of strikes in Romania before that. The strikes organized by our confederation or federation or on the level of union side. And first question, I don't know. Cartel Alpha Confederation probably has around 1 million of union member around. They have 45 federations, so they cover the entire sector of activity in Romania.
Some more questions from the audience? I give you a second to think about it. Yeah.
Following the previous answer, I think people will be curious to know how many are total trade union members in Romania compared to the population, and how big is your trade union? As you said, there are 5. Which one is yours as a size?
It is the second confederation, the biggest confederation. I don't know exactly what, have more than 1 million of trade union members, and I don't know the number to all 5 confederation. As I told you, I'm vice president at one union. I don't know exactly the figures from all the confederation in Romania.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much for the presentation and for your discipline. I'm very glad that we are going to the break on time. I didn't expect it. So, I would like to invite you to the coffee break. We have coffee outside. We have, you all know there is a very nice water fountain with pure Strobl mountain water outside that you can get whenever you want. And there is some cake outside, etc. So enjoy your coffee break, and I would ask you to be back at 10 to 11. This is okay? So we try to start at 10 to 11. Nice to meet you. So, thank you. So, can we start with the second part of the presentations on the trade unions? We would like to go on with the presentation of Lithuania. We need we need some light still. So, shall we wait? Well, good. I would like to ask you to do your presentation and go on. Next, following Brazil, and last one, Austria.
So, hello again. I will try to tell about trade unions in Lithuania. I will try to do that quite briefly. I really expect to get more questions, then I will know what is more interesting for you, what's happening in Lithuania. So, trade unions in Lithuania. We here represent the Lithuanian Trade Union Confederation. You can always go to our website to get information, to get contacts. You can always write email or call. I will be happy to get and to answer all your questions if you will have them afterwards. I won't read everything that is in the slides. You will get the PowerPoints because I think that I won't surprise you with our goals and what we do, because you do the same things in your country. But just to mention, Lithuanian Trade Union Confederation is the biggest trade union center in Lithuania. Now we have 26 branches in our confederation. So, and for the Polish colleagues, we are the most similar with OPZZ. The structure and everything. It was set up in 1st of May in 2002, but we are not that young. It was after merging of two big trade union centers in Lithuania. We are independent. We don't from government, from employers organizations. And we also, like most of you, we are also members of International Trade Union Confederation, European Trade Union Confederation. We work closely with International Labour Organization. Mission objectives, as I said, I don't think that I will surprise you a lot. We fight for the workers' rights. We represent our workers and our branches in different structures, like I heard from other countries. You talked about tripartite councils. We have the structures like this in Lithuania as well. So on the what's happening on the national level, let's say if there is intention to make some changes in the labor code, we are always represented on tripartite council, and if we like and if we think that some changes will be bad for workers, we don't allow to make these changes if it's possible. Okay, activities, I think it's more or less the same. Social dialogue. We work with collective agreements. As I said, we have 26 branches, but we also have women center and youth center. Women in Lithuanian trade unions, we have women trade union members. It's 58% of women and 42 men. Of these trade union members, approximately 50% are under 35 years old. In total, in Lithuania, I will tell about this later, we have 3 national trade union centers. As I said, Lithuanian Trade Union Confederation is the biggest one. It's the blue part. 65% of all trade unions belong to our confederation. We also have Lithuanian Labor Federation. They have approximately 25% of all trade union members, and Trade Union Solidarumas. So these 3 organizations are recognized on the national level as social partners, but we also have from all the trade unions approximately plus 5% that are independent and don't belong to, they are not affiliated to any national centers. In our confederation, you will get this, you can see that we have different people joining trade unions. You can find everyone, all professions that you can think. We have ballet dancers, trade unions, we have librarians, we have police officers, firefighters. What's more interesting? Forest woodworkers, teachers, industry workers, nurses, education federation, even Federation of Water Transport Workers. We have Federation of State Employees. We even have trade unions in some ministries. Even the workers of the parliament have their own trade unions. So it sounds nice, but of course the situation is not that fine. Approximately 11% of all workforce in Lithuania are in trade unions, but as you see, we have approximately 89% where to work. So that's one of our goals, to attract more people to trade unions, to be stronger. As I mentioned, we have 3 national trade union centers, but that doesn't mean that we work differently and we don't cooperate. In 2006, Lithuanian Trade Union Confederation proposed to merge in one organization to be stronger, but it was not agreed. Anyway, in 2007, we have established Trade Union Coordinating Center. So what we do, we normally meet once per month or in 2 months, and if we have some big issues or before tripartite councils, our presidents always meet to have joint opinion, to go with one opinion, not to have some kind of disagreements during the tripartite council, because you have to fight with employers, you have to fight, okay, not always to fight, but you have to find a strong opinion and to stand on it, because employers are normally a bit stronger and government. So we have this cooperation and it works quite good. Maybe in the future we will have one organization. I hope so. That's me. We also, on the international level, as I mentioned, all 3 organizations, they are affiliated to International Trade Union Confederation, European Trade Union Confederation. We also have Baltic Trade Union Council. I don't know about geography. How much do you know? It's Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. We are 3 small countries. We have common history and we cooperate a lot. So we also have established this council. Our president meets once per year, just to check a situation in all the countries. They sometimes have joint opinions. We can organize some kind of joint actions to see what's happening in other countries, because if something bad is happening, so it's easier to implement that in the other countries. Latvians have that kind of laws, and we need that too. But it's worse in the workers' rights, so we have to know what's happening in other countries. Of course, we communicate with all the European countries. We have strong cooperation with Russia, Georgia, Belarus, Ukraine. What we do on a daily basis, maybe about the problems. It's not every day, but of course we have strikes, we have protest actions, stuff like that. One of the problems we have, yes, theoretically we can strike, but practically it's almost impossible, because sometimes when you want to organize a strike, employer goes to the court and says that the strike will worsen. Okay, I will try to be. Will worsen situation of the company, and we had even one very fun decision of the court. The brewery wanted to go on strike, but the court forbid, because they said that the beer is very important product and you can stop the production of the beer. So it was before the Midsummer Festival, so I understand why it was life important. What we also, we have one problem. There was a question about post-Soviet countries. About that we were also included in the Soviet. the image of trade unions, especially among the young workers, like it's some kind of leftover from Soviet times, and the name is the same. And normally, when you see on TV, it's men with big bellies or older men, so they not always see themselves in trade unions. And our youth organization are also very active in information and of young people, even from the very young age. We work on that a lot. Sometimes we get really tired from that. Of course, all the demonstrations, actions, that we organize. And I think maybe it would be good if you could ask questions, because I don't know, I could talk very long, but I already saw a yellow card that I have to finish. So maybe you would like to know something, and anyway, it's still 2 days. You can ask even later, and we have representatives from different sectors, so I think they will have to add something as well. So maybe questions?
Okay. So thank you very much for being very short. I have an
I love trade union, and the others auto means what about you?
Okay.
So this is one of the part of our
so
information.
Lithuanian is easy.
Who brought you weekends. So I always try to remind people that weekends, 8-hour working day, paid annual leave and stuff like that, it's not given. It's achievement of trade unions. And we have sometimes to remind that for ourselves, because sometimes we forget that too.
So thank you. I look into the audience. Who wants to? Yeah, full of hands. So some question to Lithuania. Think about it. Yeah. Yeah, I see the first hand.
Do you have in Lithuania minimum wage legislatively regulated, and how much is it in euro? And how much is it the average wage?
Yes, we have minimum wage. It's before taxation, it's approximately 300 euros. And after taxation, it would be approximately 270 euros. It's really low because, it's poverty line. It's a bit among the minimum wage, but it's a huge problem, minimum wage, because we have this, it's 1,000 liters. We have it from 2013, 1st of January. And when the minimum wage was increased, if you get before 850 and some people were getting 1,000, so for those who were getting lower, it was increased, and for others not. So now we have more than 20% people who get minimum wage, and it's not possible. If only, let's say, 2% would get minimum wage, unskilled work, we would, okay, it would be not that bad. But now we're working a lot to force to increase minimum wage, because it's crazy. After taxation, 270 euros, and the country is not that cheap. The prices, the living, the heating, and if you, especially for young families. So that is one of the reasons. I had questions yesterday about work migration. That you heard that a lot of people are working abroad. So many people are going out of the country to work in other countries. The most popular are Ireland and Norway. It used to be Spain before the crisis, but now it's not that attractive. And many people go off the country. Even for that, we have huge unemployment rate. But employers cannot find the professionals what they need, because the professionals, they don't agree to work on minimum wage. And if you, let's say, study 4 years or 6 years, you pay for studies, and then you get suggestion to get the minimum wage that you cannot live on. One of the decisions is migration. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Average wage in euros would be, let's say, something like 600 euros. But you know, what is average wage? I get 10,000, you get 2, so in average we get 6,000.
Okay, I see one more hand.
I have the same question I had for Bulgaria. Like, what do you do about non-official precarious work? Like, do you do anything about it? And or have
you mean non-official, like freelancers?
Yeah, I mean all the things, like not legal, and also the one that's with the contracts that's not they don't obey the law.
We of course we fight with that. We say that even minimum wage is precarious work, precarious income. So one of the our areas is, as I said, that we are working to increase the minimum wage. One of this is also to get money from the gray economy, because normally when you get minimum wage, just a part of them gets real minimum wage. The other parts is non-official work. So to fight with people that are working non-officially is really hard, because you have to know about them, and they don't belong to trade unions. People that are self-employed, they don't belong to trade unions. It's also quite hard, but from the last year, from 1st of July, we had change in trade union law. We have a special law for trade unions. Before that, we could have trade union members if you have employment agreement. If you are unemployed or student or a retired person, you cannot be a member of trade union. Now we can recruit these people to be members of trade union. So, of course, we don't have that many of these members, because it's just a bit more than half a year. But we are working on a system how we will protect them, because it's it's something new and a bit bad situation.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to ask something about Lithuanian trade union situation? I leave you some second to think about it.
It's a very nice country, green. Please visit.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
so
thank you.
If there's no more question, I would like to thank you once more. Thank you, Lithuania. And I would like to ask one of the Gustavos, or somebody from Brazil, to tell us something about UGT and Brazil and the situation of trade unions in general. Both Gustavos.
Just for introductions. Now, Gustavo is going to talk about UGT, and afterwards, if you have questions, not only Gustavo, but the whole team can answer the questions for you, okay? Please, Gustavo.
Good morning, everybody. As we have two excellent English speakers, I will ask to Nayara, please come here and help me to make this presentation. I'm quite used to make some institutional presentations about UGT, but actually only in Portuguese. So my friend there will help me. Bom, antes de começar a falar sobre a UGT, eu acredito que é importante falar sobre a estrutura sindical do Brasil. Em alguns aspectos, ela se assemelha à dos demais países que aqui se fazem presentes, mas nós possuímos algumas peculiaridades que eu acredito que precisam ser apresentadas.
Good morning, everyone. Before we start to present at UGT Union, it's important to talk about the Brazilian context of trade unions, because they are quite similar from the other countries, but it have some different aspects that we should talk about now.
Ok. A estrutura brasileira que compõe o movimento sindical, ela é piramidal, ela é uma pirâmide formada na base pelos sindicatos, federações e confederações.
The Brazilian structure of trade unions is based on a pyramidal format, and in the base of the pyramid is the unions, and in the middle is the federations, and in the top of the pyramid is the confederations.
A legislação trabalhista brasileira, ela apresenta uma série de regras que precisam ser observadas para que essas entidades tenham reconhecimento e possam se apresentar como sindicatos, federações e confederações.
And the confederations and federations, they have some base of how can I say it? Para poder entrar dentro da lei. Okay, so they have different criteria based by the Brazilian law of labor, so they can get in the trade union and have some representativity.
E no topo dessa no topo dessa estrutura existe as centrais sindicais, no caso a OGT.
And after the confederations of this pyramidal structure, we have the trade unions, like UGT.
Bom, atualmente a UGT é a terceira maior central sindical do Brasil e ela nasceu da fusão de 3 outras entidades e hoje conta... Nayara, tu pode baixar um pouco? Isso. Já está em inglês. E hoje ela conta com 1.517 entidades sindicais filiadas.
UGT is the third biggest trade union in Brazil. It was formed in 2007 of the fusion of 3 old trade unions. It's a very interesting phenomenon in Brazil. And now we have about 1,517 affiliated between unions, federations and confederations.
Essas 1.517 filiações significa que a UGT representa hoje aproximadamente 4,5 milhões de trabalhadores em todo o Brasil. Na verdade, os números atualizados, já que no ano passado houve um esforço e uma ação muito grande de crescimento, é de aproximadamente 7 milhões de trabalhadores.
And with all those unions affiliated, we represent, and that number is not the real number now, because last year we made a very strong job to affiliate more unions and more workers. So we represent now about 7 million workers in the base of the unions.
A estrutura da UGT, ela é composta por uma entidade nacional e representações em cada um dos 27 estados do Brasil.
And the UGT organizes itself. We have a national coordination of UGT, and then in each state of Brazil we have state UGTs that has they represent the regional aspects. And he's going to talk just a little bit about the structure of those.
E
tanto na estrutura nacional quanto na estrutura estadual, nós possuímos uma diretoria composta por presidente, vice-presidente e uma série de secretarias temáticas. Então, alguns temas, temas mais relevantes, eles são desenvolvidos de maneira ou conjunta ou individualizada pela própria secretaria.
And we have the traditional structure: presidency, general secretary, and then we have a lot of departments, and the departments are divided by themes, by issues that we work. And UGT works with solo issues. Let's say the gender department works with gender, but we also have communications between all the departments to have the work. So the gender department doesn't work only alone. It works with the youth department, with the international relations department, and other departments.
Inclusive, a Mônica, que está aqui presente, ela é secretária de Relações Internacionais, então essa parte é desenvolvida principalmente por ela. E no meu caso, eu sou secretário nacional de Juventude, então os assuntos referentes ao mercado de trabalho e os jovens são desenvolvidos pela minha pasta em conjunto com as demais.
And in here we have Monica, who is the International Relations Secretary, and he is the Youth Secretary. So he's responsible for all the work that is done about youth employment and qualification and all the other aspects that involve youth, but he works a lot with other departments, especially with us, with the International Relations Department.
A UGT representa todas as categorias de trabalhadores que existem no Brasil, mas algumas são mais relevantes dentro da central. Nós temos o setor de comércio, muito fortemente representado, nós temos o setor de asseio e conservação, nós temos os bancários, nós temos serviços de maneira geral, e trabalhadores terceirizados. Pode.
Yeah, he's carrying. He doesn't let me translate. UGT represents all the branches in Brazil. We have unions from every kind of branches that we have in Brazil, but we have like a specialty in some sectors, like commerce workers, service, cleaning workers, and outsourcing workers. So we represent the base of the pyramid in terms of the sectors.
Internacionalmente, e talvez a Mônica queira fazer algum acréscimo depois, a UGT é filiada à CSA e à CSI, e vem desenvolvendo também trabalhos muito relevantes dentro da própria OIT e outros espaços internacionais também.
In the international level, UGT is affiliated to the ITUC, and in the regional level, we're affiliated to the TUCA, the Trade Union Confederations for the Americas, and also a sub-regional organization that is called the Coordinator of the South Cone Trade Unions. And we have We have now a very strong work that we are doing for ILO, for the ILO conferences, and some other in cooperation. And now we started working in South-South cooperation as well.
Uma questão que é muito importante trazer é que o trabalho da UGT se baseia não apenas na luta por melhoria da qualidade do ambiente de trabalho.
One of the main, a very important aspect that we want to talk is that UGT doesn't work only to improve the conditions of work of the workers.
A UGT enxerga, ela vê o trabalhador como um ser humano, e como ser humano, uma série de questões são pertinentes e são de interesse dessa pessoa.
UGT sees the worker not only as a force, a working force, but as a human being. And looking at the worker as a human being brings us different aspects that are not considered by the classic trade union movement.
Então, a necessidade de melhor saúde, melhor educação e melhor qualidade de vida de maneira geral são fortemente trabalhadas pela UGT também.
So issues like education, health system, and so issues that improve the quality of life of the worker and his family are issues that we are addressing very strongly these days.
Se alguém tiver alguma pergunta, se alguém precisar que algum esclarecimento seja feito, não só eu e o Gustavo, mas o time brasileiro inteiro está à inteira disposição para tirar qualquer dúvida. Muito obrigado.
Okay, we gave a general idea, but if you have questions, you can ask, and not only he and I, but also the Brazilian team can answer any question you have. Okay.
I take one microphone for the audience. So get your hands up. Who wants to take the chance to ask our Brazilian guest here?
So, how could you manage to increase the number of your members from 4.5 million to 7 million? So, it's just that you incorporated other confederations, because it must be great if everyone can do this.
Yeah, no, UGT made a strategy plan in the beginning of the year to increase the affiliation number, and we took the state UGTs to work, but to really work, to go to the base, to go to the malls, to the streets, to everywhere to do that. And also the last year we had 60 unions of commerce workers from the state of São Paulo that came to UGT, and that represents a lot of people. Only the union of the city of São Paulo has more than 500,000 members, and now we have the Federation of Commerce of São Paulo and Rio. So those two federations represent almost 1.5 million people. So that's one of the reasons that we grow so fast.
That's one of the differences to the European federations here presented.
And also, when UGT was formed, we had less than 3 million workers represented. But UGT, because of the process of fusion, in a time when in Brazil everyone was fighting and everyone was dividing unions, UGT was the first one that did the opposite. And that was a very interesting, not only for the history, but for the unions that were not happy in other places. So they saw in UGT an opportunity to raise to be better represented by a union that is focused on working in unity and not dividing and not fighting and not how things were being done by the time. So that's we have a very fast growth in the last. We have only 7 years now, and in 7 years we came from less than 3 million workers to 7, because it's new, it's different, it's a big opportunity for workers and for the unions that are affiliated with us.
I have a question about the informal economy and informal work in Brazil, because as far as I know, and you mentioned your work for the ILO, it will be one of the most important topics in this year's conference, the informal work. How do you fight or how do you transfer this informal into formal work, and how high is the informal employment in Brazil?
Okay. Yes, the main issue of ILO conference will be informal work, and we are working in the international level. We are trying to create a solidarity network with the South countries. We went to Indonesia a few weeks ago, and in there we met with 10 countries from the South hemisphere, and we are creating with them and with the countries of the South Cone solidarity network to work on informal work for the Confederation, for the Congress. for the ILO conference. And but in Brazil, the percentage of informal workers it's variable. Depends of how you count, because sometimes because it depends of the sector. Yes. So, but we are around 40% of informal workers, depending of how you count it. But what usually we have a department for informal workers do is trying to negotiate with the government better conditions for the workers to formalize their contracts, and or to be entrepreneurs. So we work in both sides. We try to bring them to the formal sector, but also we try to negotiate with the government better conditions for them to be entrepreneurs if they want. So that's the general idea of how we work with the informal workers. And also in São Paulo, they have a very interesting work with people who live on the streets. And they are trying to qualify those people to find jobs. Because a lot of informal work in Brazil is done because they don't have access to the openings, or they are not qualified to the openings that we have in the market. So they just do different things. They go to sell things in the streets because they don't find different jobs for them. But if we try to have a better education system for them, then we can take a lot of people from the informal sector that was not their first choice, but is what they can do, and bring them to a profession.
Okay. In Brazil, you have lots of occupied factories, or a few at least that I know. And my question would be how they are related to the unions. Like, are the workers that manage their factories, are they usually trade union members or not? And what do you think about this model? Does it work out? Would it be like a solution to the problems that you have economically?
Okay, let me share with the group if maybe someone want to talk about it. Empresas recuperadas pelos trabalhadores. Alguém tem alguma experiência que possa compartilhar? Ou alguma ideia? Empresas que os trabalhadores tomam a gerência da empresa. Okay. It's companies that are factories that they break, or they don't have conditions. The employers, they don't have conditions of maintaining the factories, and then the workers they take the management of the factories. Is that the correct? Okay. Again? Nothing. Okay. Then me again. Please.
Good morning, brother and sister. No Brasil, nós trabalhamos com a unicidade sindical e o movimento sindical não é por empresa, é por categoria.
In Brazil, our model of organization is not by company, but by sector.
Portanto, na área de comércio, que é a minha experiência e eu quero compartilhar com vocês.
And in the commerce worker sector, there is her union, and she wants to share something about it.
Nos grandes centros, nos malls, nós temos delegacias sindicais, onde há representantes dos trabalhadores que fazem todo o trabalho sindical para fazer a ligação com o sindicato na sede.
In the retails, and in the shops, in the malls, and all the big companies of commerce, they have like representative, the union representative that makes in the companies that makes the connection between the workers of those places with the union.
Então, estamos aprendendo a criar dentro das empresas os delegados sindicais para que aproximem o sindicato ao trabalhador na base.
And so we are learning and having this experience of putting workers to be representatives of the trade unions, so we can have a better connection with the base and to improve the work that we are doing now. And
pode responder em inglês.
Fala. But about those factories, or at least we are here. We don't have enough information to talk about that. Sorry, but we can of course we can afterwards we can send some information because we have to talk to the department. In the recent history, it's not very common in the big companies that is happening. That is happening a lot in Argentina. Maybe you read from Argentina because in Brazil we don't have the information of many factories or companies that are managed by workers. Okay.
As on the first project you were in Bulgaria and talked about working with the temporary workers like the builders of the stadiums, and in light of the recent accident at the Sao Paulo stadium, my question is the World Cup gonna start on time?
On time, yeah. No, for sure it will. The problem is the cost of starting on time. And I was giving an interview before, and one of the questions, most of the questions was about the World Cup. And she was asking about the legacy that we will have in the World Cup and the problems that we had. We had a lot of problems in the construction of the stadiums. We had a lot of problems of stadium that would cost like X and cost 3X. And also a lot of disrespect for the labor law in the temporary temp contracts and outsourcing, then companies that not only in outsourcing in Brazil we call it terceirização, to give to a third part the job. But in Brazil also happened the quarteirização. You give to the third part and the third part hires a company to do. So I am a company, I hire another company to make my job, and that company hires another company to make the job. It creates a chain of responsibility being passed to subcontracts. And that happened a lot in the construction of the stadiums. But most of the problems that we had, for example, in Maracanã, were about the labor law that was not being respected. So that's why they had a lot of strikes in Maracanã, and the president of the union of the construction workers is also the president of the UGT of Rio de Janeiro. It's a very good friend of ours. And he was telling us that they had a lot of problems they didn't have a doctor in the place. They didn't have a good salary, and they were not receiving some of the rights that we have in Brazil, like food, transport. They had to eat in the same place where they were working. They didn't have a space to do that. They didn't have spaces to rest. They were working more hours than the law permits. And so they started the strikes, and then the company came and solved most of the problems. But the unions, we started working very, very much before the construction of the stadiums, putting pressure on the government to put a pressure on the companies to ensure that the labor law would be followed. So the union's job was previous to the problems that we knew that we would have. So we solved a lot of problems before the World Cup. But even though we had a very good understanding that the World Cup would be a problem in terms of corruption, in terms of money wasted, and the white elephants that people call, the stadiums that will not be used after the World Cup, we managed to overcome most of the difficulties in the constructions of the stadiums, and now we are focusing on the service sector, in the hotels and the tourism sector. That is also another problem because a lot of people will be hired for that, and then afterwards they will be dismissed. So now we are putting pressure on the government to avoid that. So that's how we are trying to work for the World Cup, but it will start on time. Everything will be kind of ready, or at least with a good makeup.
Do I see any other hand raised? Anna was just a movement. Okay.
If not, Monica wants to add something.
Eu gostaria de passar para os senhores que hoje o movimento sindical brasileiro ele não é um ator apenas reivindicatório. Nós somos uns atores políticos. E a questão do tema trabalho decente.
She wants to highlight that the trade unions in Brazil, we're not only about complaining and making strikes and making manifestations, but we are very strong actors in the political area. So we try to make policy with social dialogue.
As nossas reivindicações, elas não são só a termos trabalhista, mas também na área social.
So we work, what we ask and what we do as a work is not only in the labor area, but also in the social area.
O Brasil é um país jovem que está aprendendo a fazer um sindicalismo cidadão e ético, que é o perfil da UGT.
And Brazil is a very young country, and we are learning now to have a union labor, a union work that is ethic and innovative, and that's that's the face of UGT in Brazil today. We have when you go to the website, põe no lá em cima, põe na página inicial. UGT has a limb, and it's a union that is for the citizen, ethic and innovative. So that's how we try to make our work in the political sector as well.
Bom, como a Mônica e o Gustavo já falaram, a UGT tenta desenvolver um sindicalismo moderno, né?
As Monica and I already said, UGT tries to have a modern way of making unionism.
Então, além das greves, além dos acordos e das negociações coletivas, frutos do sindicalismo tradicional,
so more than the strikes and the traditional work that is done by the unions,
a UGT trabalha na esfera política também. Então, nós temos representantes sindicais, como deputados, vereadores, tanto nas esferas estaduais quanto nas esferas nacionais. Nós temos representantes políticos da UGT.
So we try to, as we try to work in the political area, we have workers from UGT, representatives from UGT that are now in the parliament, in the national parliament, and also in the states and in the municipals, in the cities, we have political defenders of our causes. So we have people who are working in policy making.
E também, para terminar a nossa apresentação, a UGT também tem uma característica de estar na área internacional, fazendo a cooperação e desenvolvendo parcerias, né, levando a nossa expertise para outros países, principalmente da América Latina, sobre o que a gente conhece e pode aportar para uma dignidade ao trabalhador.
So,
thank you very much.
To finish, because we have to finish, she said that UGT in the international level, we try to work in cooperation with other countries, especially the ones in the Latin America and in the South Hemisphere. Well, we have similarities, so we can learn a lot from each other. And we, in the international level, we are trying now to give to the other countries and to the other unions the expertise that we had accumulated in our political job and in our classical trade union job as well, and to share and to receive also some experience from everyone. And this is one of the places that we do that, but we have a lot of other corporations and solidarity networks that we are working now. We are spreading a lot this area in UGT. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Gustavo primero and Gustavo segundo for the presentation. And Brazilian team had some minutes more than the others. I hope it's okay because really they had the longest way to come and they have the biggest jet lag to suffer. So thank you for the chat lag you are suffering. So we go on with the last presentation of the Austrian team, the host team, so to say. So Heinz will do it, and Peter.
Yeah, we will start. Hello, we will stop you a little bit from going to lunch with the last presentation. Peter is my assistant on the machinery, and I will do the presentation. Jetzt gehst noch daher.
Here's the master, I'm the commander.
Yeah. Mach's noch groß. Yeah, we're talking about the Austrian Trade Union Federation, ÖGB, and its 7 trade unions, so it's quite handy. There's not hundreds of trade unions, it's just 7. Next, bitte. Yeah, we have 3 pillars for working representation. On the right hand, you see the work councils that are working on the company and the enterprise level. Then you have the trade unions, which are dealing with collective bargaining agreements, negotiation with employers, and then the third pillar you have heard yesterday is the chamber of work. We will talk later about this, and I will just explain a little bit these 3 pillars. Next, bitte. Yeah, the work councils, they are elected every 4 years. All employees can vote, and employees in a company with a minimum of 5 persons have the right to elect this work council. Harry, you have seen him yesterday making musician. He's for example, in one of these work councils. And as I said, it's a right to have this, but you don't have to. So the employees themselves have to decide to elect 1 or 2 or 3. And of course, there can be pressure from management to stop this, and it could be a fight. But in theory, you can have everywhere these work councils. The good thing if you are a work councillor, you are protected against being fired, so you can really do your job, and you do it on a very company level. For example, controlling the collective bargaining. Next, bitte. And that is depending on the size of the company, how many work councils can be elected, and they do their activity as work councils during their working time. So they are paid as they're doing the normal job, but during this time they can represent and help their colleagues. And even only in big companies, then you see here, we have a company more than 150 employees, then one of these work councillors, he gets his salary, but he works just as a work councillor and not doing his normal day-to-day job. And with as big as a company is, more and more people are just working on these issues. Next, bitte. Yeah, now let's go to the trade unions. In Austria, we have one umbrella organization, quite old, founded just after the Second World War, and represents the interest of workers based on voluntary membership. At the moment, we have 1.2 million members, and the ÖGB is not linked to any political party, but the political parties are represented in the trade unions. And you have the strongest one as the Social Democrats, but you have also the Christian trade unions, which are more right-wing, and Greens and communist groups, and a little bit of Freedom Party members as well. Next, please. Yeah, and the Austrian trade, the ÖGB, consists of 7 trade unions. There have been more, but due to fusion, it went to 7. And they are so few, so I can really introduce them to you shortly. The first one, the GPA, is more or less the trade union of the white-collar workers. They are it's the biggest trade union. and is one where the number are still growing. The same is true for the next, the Union of Public Services. So there are all the people working for the state or for the federal state are organized there. Then we have the union, the third one, of municipal employees. And then the union of construction and woodworkers. Very important is also Proge. Here are all the factory workers, the production workers organized. And with the nice name, Spanish name Vida, that's a trade union where Peter and I am working. And it's the trade union where the transport workers are organized, railways, railway workers, truck drivers, bus drivers, pilots, as well as service workers, for example, gastronomy, ambulance, kindergarten, and so on. And the last one, the smallest one, is the Union of Postal and Telecommunication Workers, and in total, membership is around 1.2 million. So the next, please. Yeah, that's always a little bit a miracle. What is the Chamber of Labor? Because that organization is quite unique in Austria. It's not, I think I've heard in Luxembourg they have something similar, but that's all. And the Chamber of Labor is a so-called institutional or legal organization. So everyone who is employed in Austria has to be a member of it automatically and has to pay membership. And the same is true also for the capitalists or for the employers. They have to be member of the Chamber of Commerce, and all farmers in Austria have to be member of the Chamber of Agriculture. So there are really institutions. And the good thing is of this Chamber of Labor, because everyone has to be member, they are quite good financed, and it's a safe financial structure they have. And they do a lot of reviewing proposals. They are doing a lot of basic research, so because they really help us if we need studies. They have a lot of people, a lot of experts who are really dealing with very detailed questions and problems. And they are also induced into issues we don't cover, like, for example, consumer protection. And they are part of the so-called social partnership institutions. What this is, I will explain at the next slide. That's also something typical in Austria, the so-called social partnership. It's a formal and it's a voluntary and informal cooperation between employers and employees. So on our side, we have the Chamber of Work, the trade unions, and on the other side, the Federal Economic Chamber and the Chamber of Agriculture. And in the past, it was always like this: if the social partners agreed on something and get to a solution, then parliament and government more or less copied it and make it into a law. That has good and bad advantages, but it's in some way strange because it has no really legal basis, it has no democratic basis, it's just an agreement and the democratic institutions follow it. And a result was that social tensions never got too strong. As Julia mentioned, we count strike in Austria in seconds and not in days or in weeks. It's counted in seconds. But it's also now that we feel that this social partnership is not needed anymore so strongly. So we are a little bit left out in political discussions. So next. That's just the principles of the Austrian trade unions, non-partisan but not apolitically, consistent collective bargaining. About that I will now talk. The membership is voluntary. Next, please. Our job, the job of the trade unions, is to negotiate the collective bargaining agreements for all workers. And we have more than 500 of these agreements which are negotiated every year. And it covers 95% of all employees. And a lot of things which are in other countries are covered on a legal basis are in these collective bargaining agreements. For example, in Austria, we have no legal minimum wage. It's covered here. And one very significant result is that we have 12 months in Austria, as everywhere, but we have 14 salaries for these 12 months. And it's it's also a result of this collective bargaining. And there are a couple of other elements in this. Please, next page. So what's issue of this bargaining is the minimal wage. It's always allowed to pay more to the workers, but that is always the bottom. So for a truck driver in Austria, the minimum wage for all truck drivers all over Austria, disregarding where they are working, is covered by the, is fixed with this collective bargaining. Working time, special payments, jubilee money. So there's a lot of things which are in these agreements. Next, please. Yeah, and the trade unions not only deal with workers' rights in the strict sense, the trade unions also see them as defender of democracy and of developing democracy. We are quite strong in dealing with social affairs, and yeah, and that's also some what the trade unions wants to say. Bitte? Geht sie aus. We manage it in 5 minutes. Yeah, here you see, like in any other countries, the change of the structure, and services are rising. More than 70% of the Austrian employees working now in the service industry, in the service sector. The industry declined. Farming, yes, declined even stronger. And of course, these structural changes means also that, for example, in areas where we had a high membership rate, like steel industry, it's shrinking. Like railways, it's shrinking. So in areas, branches where we were very strong, are often decreasing or shrinking industries. Next, please. Just to see of a couple of countries, the membership. In Austria, approximately a third of the employees are member of the trade unions. And as in many other aspects, the Scandinavian countries are very good and on the forefront with up to 70% of membership. Nächstes bitte. Yeah, and recent developments. Here you can see the membership of the Austrian trade unions, of the ÖGB. The maximum was in the 80s, and since that we have a decline from the maximum was at 1.66 million, and now we are around 1.2 million members. That has a couple of reasons. One, and the most dramatic, was the so-called BAWAG crisis. BAWAG was a bank owned by the trade unions and got into financial troubles due to speculation, mismanagement, and the ÖGB had to sell it, and a lot of money was lost, and that was members. The money of the members were lost. So it was really an financial and moral, and as well for a couple of times even an existential crisis for the trade unions. And another aspect, as I said, the social partnership is weakened. So the government and the employers believe they don't need as much agreements with the trade unions. They want to leave us out. Then an issue which was raised nearly now in every other countries, we have more and more informal work, untypical employed persons, which the trade unions try to represent, but are not really always successful. And that are the reason for this slow decline, which, as I mentioned, is not true for all trade unions. The trade unions of the civil servants and the one of the white collar workers, they are growing. All the others are slowly but steadily decreasing. So that was a little bit about what's happening in Austria, and I think we are in time. And have a nice lunch after now the discussion, which will start, of course. Thank you.
So, thank you, Heinz and Peter. I'm looking again, last time, for the hands up. Yeah, Gustavo.
Hi. You talked a little about the experience of the bank. I would like that you could say a little more how does the bank work in the past, and what did you do during the crisis to solve the problem?
The problem is none of us worked at that time for the trade unions, so we are looking old, but we are not so veteran. But the problem was that the bank lost a lot of money, and the trade union had to use the funds which were for strikes allocated, and it was a huge fund because people were paying in, but it was not used because there were nearly no strikes. So there was a lot of money there, and they had to use it for saving the bank. And at the end, it was sold now to an investment fund, an American investment fund, Cerberus, and it's not any governmental bank, any trade union bank anymore. But the working conditions of the people employed by the bank are the same, because all the agreements, both on collective bargaining agreement, but as well the agreement made by the work councillors, are still valid. You can sell a bank, but it doesn't really change the relationship of the employer to the employees just because the owner is a different. So of course, they have restructuring, and they don't they don't hire new staff, but the working conditions within this bank was nearly similar, not because the new owner is so social, but because that's the law.
During the time that the bank was controlled by the union, they provided different services or in better condition than the private ones.
I think the working conditions were maybe a little bit better than in the other banks. They had very good conditions for trade union members. So everyone nearly had an account there because you had better conditions. But it was still it was a capitalist bank. It was not any bank dealing, being greener or more social, or they put money into, they lost a lot of money in a Caribbean like any other bloody capitalist bank. So they really didn't behave differently. And the management went to jail and was not different to other bank management. Maybe the opposite. They went into jail, others didn't. But it was not really a very progressive bank. It was just an ordinary bank owned by the trade unions, and I think that was one of the mistakes.
And the last question about it: do you think about make something like a bank today, or if you could go to the past, do you think it was a good idea to have a structure like that? What you can say about it?
I think it was. In Zambia, it was good to have our own bank and to motivate your trade union members to use this bank. But it could have been a model for a different banking policy, but it wasn't. And I think that was one of the reasons that it collapsed, and that the ÖGB had to get rid of it. And I think they have no idea or no wish to create now a new bank. So that's gone.
Some more question or comment from the Austrians? Some more second. Okay. Well, I don't see anybody else, so I would like to thank again to Heinz and Peter for the presentation. And for you, for the patience to listen to our presentations from the morning. We are now closing the morning session with a small forecast to the rest of the day and some organizational details. Yeah, I would just like to announce we will now go for lunch. You know, the restaurant over there. At 12:30, lunch is served, And we offered you, if somebody wants to do a little walk or look around in the surroundings, we would like to invite you, if you want to meet at 1:30 behind the restaurants in a group. So we could do a small walk around, also close the lake, around this mountain behind us, this Bürgelstein. That would be a walk like 1 hour more or less, but you can do it smaller as well. You can just do the walk along the lake for some minutes, as long as you want. You could also go to the center of Strobl, so the center of the village. That's like 5-10 minutes to walk to the main square. Obviously, you also can stay around, do whatever you want. Yeah, and Jakob offered to go to swim with everybody who dares. We would like to look at that. Yeah, I mean, you're very, very much invited to also to use the lake area of BFAP, just crossing the path. You can stay there. There are towels, as Stefan announced yesterday. Then at 2:30, we will go on, and we would like to go on talking to each other in smaller groups. That's why we planned a division. We tried to do a division in 6 groups, more or less for sectors and branches you are in. So to have kind of a common basis of interests and of a working background. And I already asked the delegation or the staff of all delegations to have a look at it together with me and Stefan to rearrange when the groups are not working that well. But I would ask you to do it with us together so we can, after my speech. Then what else? Factory, genau. And next point, tomorrow in the morning we will have 4 factory visits, and we already have some posters over there where the 4 factories are described, and there is a list with some numbers and names of countries, and this wants to indicate that we want to also have a kind of repetition so that from every country you may see a glimpse of every factory and then have the possibility to exchange. So if there is Austria 1, 2, 3, so 3 people from Austrian team can go to this point. So we will ask you to just put your names in these lists, respecting this the places we have in every factory. You may do this afterwards. We have still all the afternoon to do it, and we will have some more time to talk about the factories. But I give the microphone to Gudrun to present a bit.
Yes, there are four factories, and we have Hoffmann, the Harald from the musicians. He is the work council from Hoffmann, and they produce electric coal brushes. And next is Salinen, Austria. This is the production of salt. And we have Solvay. It's a chemistry factory which produces calcium carbonate. And last but not least, we have Gmundner Keramik. It's a traditional handcraft factory, and they make pottery, ceramic, hand painted. And all 4 factories we have time, in all 4 factories we have time to visit the factory, but also time to talk to the works council to discuss the problems, how does it work, and so on. If there are more questions, please come and we can. And there is, in the chemistry factory, they ask me that nobody comes who works in the same sector, because they are afraid of.
And I want to make one last comment, because I heard of preoccupations about the walk tomorrow in the afternoon, and I just want to tell you, well, it will not be a real walk. It's just a some steps to see a very nice and I would say fantastic view. Is this correct, Harald? Yeah. It's really, it's not about a walk like hiking the Austrian Way of. Yeah, so I would like to invite you to the lunch break. We would meet at 1:30 behind the reception, behind the main building to do a walk or something in the lunch if you want company. Otherwise, we meet here at 2:30 to go on with the conference. Thank you.